We previously talked about how Animal Think Tank aims to imitate self-organizing systems, so we can be resilient and adaptable, and so it can be a place where we can all make a fulfilling contribution. In this video, we'll delve further into how we structure ourselves as a self-organizing system. So let's think about a natural system you'll be familiar with, the human heart. Your heart has a purpose: pump blood to the parts of your body that need it. It's its own thing, but it's also part of a bigger thing, the body, which in turn has its own purpose: survive. Not only that, the heart is made up of other whole things, cells, each of which have their own purpose that ultimately contributes to the heart's functioning. We can look at our organization similarly, but first let's pause and ponder something important. If I ask you the question, what do we call the parts that make up an organization? Your instinct might be to say people, but actually that's not quite the case. At least that's not how we think about it. Look at it this way. You are a living, breathing, physical being. An organization is not. Take Amazon, the company, as an example. If Amazon headquarters spontaneously disappeared tomorrow, or all of Amazon's staff spontaneously quit their jobs, would Amazon as a company cease to exist? No. Because an organization, like Amazon, is a story that allows us to organize ourselves to work towards a particular purpose. Now that doesn't mean it's not real. It is real because we believe in it. The people working for Amazon believe in it. The people working for the government believe in it. Our friends and family and people in society as a whole believe in it. It's real, but not physically present. So an organization is a story, a frame that tells us what to focus on and what not to focus on. And so its parts are actually just the smaller frames that add up to the bigger one. These smaller frames, the parts that make up an organization, are roles. We put on these smaller frames just like we put on a pair of glasses, and then they tell us which part of the bigger frame to focus on and think about. So let's now apply this to Animal Think Tank. Let's start with the highest level of purpose in the organization, Animal Think Tank's mission. This is the biggest part of Animal Think Tank. The mission is a big, chunky thing, so to work towards it, we break it down into smaller parts, smaller frames. Each of these parts we call a role. A role is a smaller story of the bigger story, a smaller frame that guides us to work towards a sub-purpose. The mission level gives each role freedom and resources to carry out its sub-purpose. When there are issues the roles can't resolve on their own, they come back to the mission level, and decisions get made at that higher level where perspectives from different roles can get integrated. You are not a role. You are a person, and you can fill roles. That means that in certain moments, you might consciously put on the frame of that role to see the world through that role's perspective. You'll do this to understand what's needed to fulfill the purpose of that role, and you might fill multiple roles, which means you might be constantly alternating the frames you're wearing. There's a couple of really important reasons we strive to distinguish between roles and people at Animal Think Tank. Firstly, it helps distinguish personal needs from organizational needs. A common challenge organizations face is that well-intentioned people, without realizing it, often try to meet their personal needs through the organization at the expense of the organization's mission. In situations where they should be thinking about what's best for the organization's mission, they'll instead make decisions that are self-interested and which might harm the organization. But when we develop a consciousness of which role we're inhabiting in a given moment, we're less likely to make ego-driven decisions. And we can also understand the personal needs that we have and go and meet those through other means, some of which will be provided through the organization and some of which won't be, and they might need to be met outside the organization. The second reason we strive to distinguish roles and people is wholeness. When we make this distinction, people are less likely to feel their identity is defined by their role. In fact, they realize they can use their talents to fill multiple roles while showing up as a whole, vibrant, multifaceted person. Hopefully you've now gained an understanding of what a role is, how it fits into the bigger system of the organization, and how it's different to a person.